Hey everybody, I know that I have shown you all how to cut your first layer here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of give you the example. This is how I did it. I put my tracing paper on top of my person. I knew that the face was going to be a very large section, so I wanted to make sure that I had a backer piece for my face. I decided to do the whole thing in a light color. So that's how it's going to lay on top of my fabric muslin there. Okay, so I have to pick out my color. And I have this being layer 2 because layer 1 is my muslin pattern piece, okay, or the muslin piece that I cut out in the last video. So that's my layer 1. So this one here, my lightest valued color, was actually the back of this fabric. So we're working with the light section of this. If you remember, I traced it from the back to prevent any of my lines showing. So I took my pattern piece and I flipped it over. I took my fabric and I flipped it over. So I'm looking at the back of the pattern and the back of the fabric. I traced it on and I cut it out. So that is my layer number 1. So we're going to get that set up. Kind of work in 2 little sections here for you. So this goes on top of here. With your glue sticks, you can start gluing these things down. You can see I have a little bit of a neck portion here, which is appropriate. If you're having trouble laying things in place, you can always put your muslin piece down. Find where the top of the head is. Lay your fabric down in that spot. And then here what I could do is lift this portion up, put glue here, push that down, lift this portion up, put glue there, and then lay it down. And then just pat it lightly. Alright, so next step is going to be my next value, and I've already traced it, so I need to cut this out. You can see it's a little bit crazy of a piece to cut out. Alright, so here we go. This is my orange layer, and the yellow needs to peek through, or the lighter color needs to peek through this area here. So I actually do need to cut this out, but it's kind of crazy to cut all of these details out, so I'm going to do the best that I can. And also simplify it a little bit. So some of the curves are just going to join as one, but you want to make sure that you're not getting rid of really important details. I can always add more fabric on top of what I've got, so I don't have to stress out about having everything in one piece. Maybe I want to do this in 2 pieces. That might make it a little bit easier. But areas around like the nose and the mouth and the eyes, it's really important that you get those shadows and highlights correct, or else you are going to end up with a piece that doesn't look like your person or even a person. The thinner your fabric, the more difficult it will be to cut things out. Also, if your fabric is a jersey material or something that's stretchy, it's going to be more difficult to cut your pattern pieces out of. So this is pink, and I know this is my front. So I need to work on the back of my fabric. So this is the shiny side here. Okay, this is the not shiny side. I kind of like the not shiny side. I think this is a little too eye-catching. So I'm going to use the back of the fabric really as my front and the front of the fabric as my back, because I want to use this side of my fabric. So I'm going to flip my fabric over so that I'm looking at the back. I'm going to flip my pattern over so I'm looking at the back, and I'm going to trace it. It'll make it easier for me to trace everything on the inside. You might find that your fabric's fraying a little bit. Something that you can do to stop this is if you have Elmer's liquid glue at home, you could just lightly trace the edge of your piece with some Elmer's liquid glue. Some fabrics fray more than others. woven fabrics will fray a lot. Silky woven fabrics like this one will fray a lot. Also, silky woven fabrics like this one will pull your marker if you're using a marker into your design. So you can see on both sides I've got that marker showing, which I wouldn't really want to keep. So really, if I had the time, I would remake this piece and use a pencil. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the design here. So again, I'm looking at the back of my fabric and the back of my pattern, and I'm layering those two up. So I'm going to cut all of this marker line off, because even on the front you can see it a little bit. And I don't want that to show because it's ugly. Now remember, this is a permanent collection piece, so you want to go through and you want to trim anything off that you don't want. Any of those black lines that show up, please use pencil. Okay, it'll make it a lot easier for you. Flip your piece over again and make sure that it lines up. All right, that looks pretty good. Here it doesn't matter so much because the hair is going to cover some of that. I can also just kind of like push it around. So now this pink layer gets glued on top of my light blue layer, and I can move forward to layer 4 because muslin's layer 1, layer 2, layer 4. My layer 4 is going to be my next value. So here so far I have my light value and I have my medium value. So I'll be working on this first dark value here, and that will be done in blue. Okay, so that's next steps. Keep an eye out for more videos and more tutorials on how to do this so that you can follow along. Remember, this is a permanent collection piece, and the more you get done while we're doing these home edition videos and while we're away from school, the more you'll be able to work on your own or more future projects before the art show. All right, have fun everyone, stay safe, wash your hands.